Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. David Culley was fired, as you saw in the title, which means Nick Caserio is back to worst general manager in the league. You know what I hate? When coaches aren't fired on Black Monday. I mean, why would you wait till now to fire a coach? Makes no sense. Anyways, going to the actual part of this. I don't get it at all. It makes no sense whatsoever. I have no idea what the heck Nick Caserio was thinking when he did this. I mean, why? You might be sitting there thinking they only got 4 wins. But that is 4 wins with a team without any talent whatsoever. Just to be clear, their best player on the whole team is Brandon Cooks, their receiver. Besides that, they don't have a single good player on the whole team. They have players with potential, but no one you can actually consider good. So 4 wins out of this team is remarkable. I know 2 of them were against the Jaguars, who have an even worse GM. I know, Nick Caserio is not actually the worst GM in the league. Especially if the Jaguars hire Bill O'Brien. Man, would that be awful. Anyways, Nick Caserio is still one of the worst, because I don't know what he's thinking. Now, he has proven me wrong before. I will admit that. Because it started out, free agency, he didn't really do anything, which I didn't blame him for. They're kind of just looking for the number 1 overall pick. Plus, they didn't need much. They need to rebuild, so it doesn't help signing a bunch of free agents. Plus, none would really want to go there. But they did build a really good running back core. So, that was a good thing. Plus, they got some backups in case Deshaun Watson doesn't play. They signed Tyrod Taylor, they signed Jeff Driscoll, and also they traded for Ryan Finley. So that's when the draft gets confusing. So, 3rd round pick, number 3, they decide to draft Davis Mills. Now, I don't know what the heck they were thinking then. Or that's what I thought at the time. I still don't know what they were thinking, but apparently it was a stroke of genius. I'll get to that in a minute. Because they had Ryan Finley, Jeff Driscoll, Tyrod Taylor, and Deshaun Watson, who they could trade and get someone valuable for on the roster. And yet, they drafted a quarterback. Now, the rest of the draft was pretty good. They drafted Nico Collins, a receiver, which they needed a number 2 receiver to Brandon Cooks. They still kind of do. They also drafted Garrett Wallow and Steele Roy Lopez on the defensive line. So that's nice for them to grab a couple defensive linemen, build up their defense. Roy Lopez has been phenomenal this year, especially as a 6th round pick. They also drafted tight end Bevan Jordan, which he's shown potential, so we'll see how he turns out. But I still think they could have done a bit better. They drafted Nico Collins later in the 3rd round, and they could have switched those picks around and grabbed someone better than Nico Collins, or grabbed a good defensive lineman. But, I've got to say, Davis Mills has been good this year. It started with the releasing of Ryan Finley, which I'll still say is really stupid. They trade a 6th round pick for a guy to release about 2 months later. And then they released Jeff Driscoll, then they signed him again, but now he's a tight end on the roster. What's with quarterbacks wanting to be tight ends? Anyways, So that left them with Watson, who's gonna sit out, obviously, or be traded before the season started, and Tyrod Taylor. So that's how they went in the season. Tyrod Taylor as a starter, Mills as the backup. Then after week 2, Tyrod Taylor got injured. So for a couple of weeks, they had to start Davis Mills. Which, he didn't play great, but he's a third-round rookie on a terrible team. So give him credit a bit here. And then later that year, they're in a blowout loss to the Titans when they benched Tyrod Taylor. They just went, okay, we've lost this game. Let's try Davis Mills out. And he performed really well. Like, he didn't win the game for them. They still blowout lost. But he did play well. So they started him the next week, which he played well. Since then, he's had more success. He hasn't been a good quarterback, but he hasn't been terrible. So, Nick Casario's drafting ability seems pretty good. But, still, what were they thinking firing David Culley? I mean, I wonder if there's some behind-the-scenes issues. That would be my top theory. There's some behind-the-scenes issues. Something's wrong with their relationship. Sort of like Brian Flores. Because he didn't have a bad season, and it's his first year as a head coach. I mean, give the guy a chance. Jeez. So honestly, I kind of feel bad for David Culley here, because he was thrust into an unfair situation with a terrible team, and now he's out of a job. But hopefully he can find a job as a coordinator. So, now the Texans are another team that has fired their head coach. I believe they're the 8th. Well, 7th that's fired, but one resigned, John Gruden. And Rick Bisaccia could become the full-time coach, because somehow they made the playoffs. Anyways, we'll see about that one. But the rest are definite openings. So any of the coaches I mentioned in the last video would be a good fit. If they hire Bill O'Brien again, then something is wrong. Like, something is very wrong. That would be the worst move in history of the NFL. Now, I could also see there's 3 that stand out especially. So, Nick Caserio used to be an assistant GM to Bill Belichick. So, it wouldn't surprise me if he hired one of Bill Belichick's assistants as the head coach, or former assistants, such as Joe Judge, who is fired from the Giants. Please don't hire him either. He's not as bad as Bill O'Brien, but, I mean, no, please don't. And there's also Brian Flores. He would be a better option, because he didn't do badly with the Dolphins, even though they had a crappy team originally. So, it'd be interesting to see what he can do with this team. And I think the top contestant would be Josh McDaniels, because Patriots have had a good year. He's deserved another head coaching job for quite a while. Obviously, backed out of the Colts, so it's not that no one's willing to hire him. It's that I think he wants to succeed Bill Belichick, which is a possibility. But it's also possible that he decides to come over, visit Nick Caserio instead. We will see. Thanks for watching.